Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Altcoin Daily with Bitcoin Gorilla. Today, we're going to be looking at FIO Protocol. This analysis is going to be a deep one because we're going to be looking at multi-time frame. I'm talking about we're going to be looking at monthly chart, weekly chart, daily chart, and if time permits me, we will also dive into the 4 hours chart. Now, if you know me, I do not use indicators. Instead, I use a self-developed strategy called the Bitcoin Gorilla Box strategy. So that is what I'll be implementing on this video. I remember Bitcoin Gorilla. If you end up liking this strategy, remember this is no financial advice, but if you end up liking it, give me a thumbs up to show appreciation, and I'm saying thank you in advance, and subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post, or even if you subscribe, they will not notify you because YouTube have a way of just notifying those who click the notification bell. So let's jump into the analysis. But before we start, let's draw the chart. So in drawing the chart, I'll be using two tools. I'll be using the horizontal trend line and the slanting trend line for the trend lines, and the rectangular box for the rectangular tool for the box strategy. So what I am doing right now is I am getting the levels on the chart where price got to and had a reaction. Either it couldn't go further up if it was going up, or it couldn't go further down if it was going down. Now, this line, you might say they are too much, but don't conclude. This is weekly chart. When you talk about trading it, it's very, very tradable. So let's finish drawing the chart so that you get to see what I am talking about. So this chart, the lines are only found, they are interchangeable. Support become resistance when they are broken, and resistance becomes support when they are broken. Now, when this support and resistance had too many touches, too many hits on them, they tend to become weaker, and then they lead to the breaking of those areas. So right now, these are those levels, but I do assure you that these lines are not good enough for me to actually take successful trades, because I will end up having situations like this, and I can't put, if I start putting lines on every stop, it's going to be very worrisome because I won't be able to trade the chart, as it's going to be what, non-tradable. But you can see if I zoom in, it's still quite okay to trade. So don't worry, it's not going to be disturbing. By the time you're trading it, it will make sense. So the most important thing I want to do next is bring in the Bitcoin Gorilla strategy. It's going to help us simplify things when you're using entry. Yes, these lines, I am considering them, especially when I'm in a trade. So they are like warnings. They warn me ahead of time. But the most entry point that I'm going to use is the Bitcoin Gorilla strategy. So I'm bringing the Bitcoin Gorilla strategy, and it demands me that I get the all-time support and all-time resistance off the box. So and I can see very obviously that the all-time resistance, the all-time support rather, not resistance, support this time around, is here. And let's change the color to I to differentiate it from the bigger box. So that is the all-time support, also known as the demand area. Now in price action, two things move price, and price can only move in two directions, up or down. Then sometimes we have sideways when there is equilibrium between buyers and sellers. Now, only two things move price, the buyers and the sellers. And these two people are known as what? Demand and supply. So the buyers are the demands, the supply are the sellers. So these are the only two things that move price. Definitely, I do not believe that the news move price. The news can influence price, but the main thing that will move it is those who end up going to buy it. You can put up the news out there, and at the end of the day, nobody buys it, the price will not move. So you can put all the news out there, and at the end of the day, nobody sells it, price will do the opposite. So just know that the main thing that moves price is demand and supply. So this is why the box strategy is based on demand and supply. So this is our major demand area, and you can see price is back to that demand area, which is very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. So the next thing I'm going to get is the all-time supply, right? The supply, that is the major resistance area. So now we have a demand area and a supply area for this box, right? this bigger box containing the entire life history of the token. So the next thing I want to do is look for point or areas on the chart where I can see price having it difficult to move. That is, remember I said there are two types of direction, up and down, that price move, right? But there's also one known as sideways in price action. Sideways, consolidation, whatever you might call it. These are mostly what make trading 80% waiting, 10% buying, 10% selling. That sideways market is never fun to trade. You're going to lose a lot of money when you trade them. And this is why sideways market form in every market. And they take more time. You can see if you look at this, let's take for example, let's look at this entire chart. You find out that this entire place is sideways market, this entire place is sideways market. So think about the move. The only move only happen for buyers here and sellers here. This entire thing, you can see it went up and instantly returned back to the seller, to the sideways. So this entire thing is a sideways. And one thing you must know about sideways is they struggle to break out. They don't break out easily, so they take a very long time. The reason for the sideways is equilibrium. It means buyers and sellers are almost the same range. There's no enough buyers and there's no enough sellers, and even the ones who comes, let's say 20 buyers comes, 20 sellers will rush in and take all the demand. Let's say 10, let's say 50 buyers come, the next thing you see 40 sellers will come. Let's say another 20 buyers come, and then the next thing 50 buyers again come, destroying the entire buyers that came. So this is what causes this equilibrium. You can see it took place here, you can see it took place. Now when price moves, price only moves when one of these two people overpower each other. So price moves to the upside when buyers overpower sellers. More buyers are coming in than sellers, there will be a move to the upside. And price goes to the downside when you have more people willing to sell off than more people are willing to buy. Then you see price go down. But where we are, I am going to take note of it. So I'm going to bring in a Bitcoin Gorilla strategy again. Remember, if you want to learn about this strategy, please, I will leave a link under this video to my website so that you can learn more about me. This is the website. You can come and learn more about me. I'm a high leverage trader. I have gone through a lot to develop this strategy and I'm still learning every day. Crypto is still a baby, and as I'm growing, I am developing it. I'm a high leverage trader. I trade 125. Please, 125x. Don't do it if you do not have training on how to manage loss. My box strategy comes with rules. So even if you see me draw it, I have rules on how I trade it to prevent losses. It's very important. So this is the box. I'll leave the link under this video so that you can visit the website and know more about me, Bitcoin Gorilla, and as well as the family Makaveli traders, and know if you want to further your trading career and join the family and learn more about my strategy and probably get to trade live with me and see this strategy live in action. So this is it, and this is it. So again, I have gotten the support and resistance area of this drama range. This is a very important range. So now I have a clear view of what is happening. So I'm going to go further and bring in, remember, this is a price action strategy, which means you must not forget the patterns that form in price action. You must understand that if you're going to trade this strategy, you must understand price action. So price action is one of the most simple strategy out here. So it's easy for you to get. So what I will tell you is right here, I have a broken line. So I'll take note of all the previous events right there. And this is it, right? And I will also not ignore this expanding channel. It's good to not ignore anything. So I'm going to move this. I have an expanding channel. The reason is this: whenever you are drawing, don't forget what is possible. As is a 50-50, don't forget that this uncertainty is always there. So as much as you consider the buyers, give the sellers an equal consideration. So what we are seeing is a channel has been broken. So you see, the reason why I still draw the broken channel is because I want to explain. Now we're going to start explaining the chart. So for me to start explaining the chart, let's start with monthly chart. No, I think let's start from 4 hours, then we ride our way up for the sake of daily traders. So you might want to stick to the end of the video. So let's see what this our chart that we've drawn looks like on the 4 hours chart. Remember, we drew this chart on the daily chart, but this is what it looks like on the 4 hours chart. And if I'm to trade this chart, I would definitely need to zoom in, right? I need to zoom in, right? This chart was drawn on the weekly chart. So this is the 4 hours chart.
So what is it telling me? You can see that by the time to trade the chart, you need to zoom in. All this drawing, we needed to zoom out to do it. But now that we've gotten the drawing, so you can see it is very clear. Remember, we did this analysis on the weekly chart. So in this situation, in this first, if I'm trading a 4 hours chart, first of all, I know there's a sideways market, another sideways market, which is likely there was a fake out here, which they have returned. So now this fake out, you would have known because our support tell us that we have broken into a support range that when we want to go back above it, we will have to encounter the issue of a broken support becoming a resistance and a broken resistance becoming a support. So if you know that law in price action, then you know that once they get to this point, the first 0.1 11, once they get there, there's chances are high they will return. Chances are high, of which they did. You can see it got rejected and it was a fake out, and now they are back. They are going to make another attempt today because here's the thing: within where they are, there is a very strong support. Look at it. There's a very strong support right here. You can see, if you zoom in, you can see right here. You can see the reaction. You can see the reaction. There's a previous resistance. That is what stopped them from falling. So you would have known that, yes, obviously from our drawing, there was a point that, and that is exactly where they stopped. So from this whole situation, I will tell you this. I need to move this up a little, a little. Yeah, that is what I want. Yeah, because there's already a second box. This one stays. So what it tells me is this. Because why do I let it stay? Because of the previous point. Remember, everything is important. You can see this previous point. You can see these points. So there are two boxes. So I needed to extend one up a little, right? So you can see this right. You can see this right. You can see this. So, and again, it's good for us to have that. So what this tells me is this. If I zoom in, this is 4 hours chart we are talking about. If I zoom in, I know that in this situation, I see chances are high that we are going to get a sideways, right? But the sideways we are going to get, price is going to likely want to return to this point. Here, we're going to get a pullback from this 0.12 to 0.13. We're going to get a pullback. Now, they could return back. Now, this is going to affect FIO depending on Bitcoin. Now, what I do see is that they're likely, their main target is to return to this point. 1.9. That is their main target. They will get reaction on this point and they will likely get reaction in between this point. The reason is you can see this situation, and remember, this happened to be our previous broken support. If we go to the daily chart, so on the 4 hours chart, first of all, they will try to return to 0.19. Their main target is bigger than that. That 0.19 is our broken support range. And you can see each time they come into that broken support, there is always a struggle to even leave it. You can see right here. So when they get in, it's going to be a struggle. So patience is needed. Patience is needed. So for me, I do not like trading a sideways market. If you're trading 4 hours, I like being patient. But this is a good scalp, right? This is a good scalp. But if you're a patient type and you can sit through it, but I do see that once they get into this range from where this red is, they will experience the struggle of back and forth. So please use stop loss. Your stop loss should be around where it is, where they just stop now. Price, if they return, price shouldn't go below 0.08, right? And that is, if you're trading 4 hours, that's a good stop loss so that you can see if the ride continues. Now, if the ride continues and they make it to this point, they're likely going to return. They could actually want to clear the stop losses of all the sellers here by entering and then returning, right? But in a longer term, let's consider um let's consider daily chart now for a longer term move, for a longer term target, right? So let's consider the daily chart now. Let's look at what the daily chart tells us. We need to zoom in so that we can see the candles more very clearly. So on the daily chart, you see the target now will be very easier that they are going to return to here. But it's not going to be a sweet ride. Like I said, they are going to struggle, especially when they get here. They are going to struggle. But once they get in, they will try to make this new broken support area their new support, right? So now it's good when they are going back above it, they will encounter this point, 0.11 reaction, and then they will encounter again once they manage to get above it 1.6 all the way to 1.4 in another reaction, right? So once they get into my rendering, just expect this movement to be kata 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 kata. So get your mind ready, and they once they're able to get into it. Now, if you're patient, and this is daily chart, like I said, they will make a move to sit above this point. Of course, I would have come to update you before then, but their target will be to get back into the seller's line. Now, this is the seller's line that they are respecting. So they already have one touch and two touch. So their target is they will get into it. Now, if the headache in these bulls, because where they are is a double support range, by the time they get above it, more buyers will get more confidence. This broken support, once they get back into it, you see buyer becomes more confidence. Where it is now is only few buyers that understand the fact that it is still within a buy range, within a demand range. So if you're buying to store, this is a good time to buy, but this is no financial advice. Do your research. So, but if you hold, you find out that once they're able to get into this, more buyers will show more interest on FIO, and price could return to this 0.3. But again, another reaction down. This kind of move is going to happen again. It's going to happen. So if they go at worst, they will make a double top with this 0.44 place. And if they make a double top, just expect them to return again. It will return again. But when they return, they will likely want to hold up above this line now, this time around. Now, by then, I would have also come to update you. But that is what the daily chart is targeting. Now, let's look for a longer ride for someone who is actually hoping to hold for a longer term. What is your outlook? What target should you be looking at? Then let's look at the weekly chart. Back to where we drew this chart. Let's see what is the weekly chart. It is so sweet if you are patient. Crypto is more fun for the patient dogs, right? The patient dogs eat the fattest bone. But it's most important you understand that timing is the most important thing in crypto. You must know when to buy it right. Don't go and buy it top and say you want to be patient. You end up waiting forever. It's good to know when to buy and when to sell. And please make sure you learn how to use stop loss, especially if you're not holding for long term, you are trading for short term. So this is what I see on this particular token doing. Now, if the bulls, now let's consider candlesticks, because now we are in a better point to look at the candlesticks a longer time, right? So let's look at the candlesticks. The bulls need to print something that will change their fate right now. What will change their fate is if the bulls are able to return to my red area. Like I said, if they return to my red area by printing a bullish candle, it will give them the access of forming a 3-bar reversal, right? What is 3-bar reversal? 3-bar reversal will give them the opportunity to what strike back above, because then their pullback will not go beyond 0.1, right? So their pullback, once they are able to complete, because they have already made a doji, right? A doji shows indecision. So where they are, the last week we had is indecision. There's indecision between buyers and sellers. So they need to make this decision. And if the bulls succeed in winning this current doji indecision by printing another bullish candle that will look just like this red candle, a green, just a green. So if this week becomes bullish, they have 2 days to close this. At least they don't need to get all the way in. They just need to close above this previous candle here. Let them just close above it. Let them just close somewhere around 1.2. At worst 1.2. If they can close 1.2 for the week, it is a beautiful thing, because then we can have this struggle and we can they will maintain their way in, and their target, like I said, is going to be all the way back up. Once they make their way back into the box, they will touch the top of the box, and trust me, if they return, they will get a retest for the weekly. So the retest could stop them either here, or they could dip more to this point. They could get a deeper retest, to be honest. So this will now enable them build a bias line, something that looks like this. So they will get a deeper retest. Either they are able to hold here or they get to this point, but they are likely to touch this. So with that deeper retest, they will strike back up. And here's the thing, their way back up could be extended. their way back up could be very, very extended. I'm seeing zero point 0.6 to zero point 0.7 this time around. I remember Bitcoin Gorilla. Before then, I would have come and update you. If you like this analysis, like I said, subscribe and